Welcome to another Sober on a Drunk Planet special. This is just a new season. I've sort of lost count since I did the first ever episode, which it was funny how life goes full circle, but Sanjay interviewed me and I asked him for a copy of the recording, and I put that as the first ever Sober Heroes podcast back in the day, which is now the Sober on a Drunk Planet podcast. I've known Sanjay for 20 years now. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ugh, that's old. So we both know each other from drinking and drugging, just generally being the last two out of most people. That's why I think we got on so well. But it's great to have you here. Yeah, it's funny how life suddenly turns around and you're how many months or days sober now?
204 days.
204 days. Wow. And I remember clearly, like we were texting, and you massively helped me get this podcast online. So I've always been very grateful for you for teaching me, because you're brilliant at doing podcasts and the videography that you do with your business at the moment. I'm like super impressed with. So yeah, a big thank you to you for doing that, because ultimately I think these things, when you actually speak your story, gives you the confidence to then go out in public and talk to people with a sense of pride and confidence. So from there, I wrote the books, and yeah, I'm not saying it's all down to you, so don't let your ego get overinflated, but it was a big part of it. And being able to speak on your podcast at the time was just a catalyst for all these positive things, and those three books and that podcast behind you, which is now into, like, I think this would be season 6 now, if I haven't got all the numbers mixed up, which I might have done. Could be less, could be more. But yeah, so 204 days sober. How did you get to the point where you needed to get sober? I'll get to a message that you sent me with all the benefits on it, but I'll let you regurgitate that. But how did you get to the point where you thought, you know what, I actually think I might need to just quit alcohol?
So I'm like anyone, 37 years old, had spent most of my 20s, as you said, boozing. I like to call myself, or brand myself, as a middle lane drinker. So I wasn't like drinking every day, 24/7, full on alcoholic. It was more the case that I was a sesh head with the drinking. And then unfortunately, what happened is that I started drinking during the week quite a lot, like in the middle of the day. So like becoming self-employed, you control your own diary, right? So you can work when you want. Then all of a sudden I was going down the pub at 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock, having a couple of beers here, a couple of beers there on a Tuesday. We named this thing called 4 Pints Monday, because Monday was such a drag to get, when you get after the weekend, you're like, oh, get through work on a Monday. And then we used to be like, right, 4 Pints Monday. That is like kind of just bubbling in the background. Long and short of it is, my anxiety got so bad, or anxiety as we know it, got so bad, my relationships started breaking down, my finances started breaking down, my weight started increasing, my health started decreasing, my mental health was pretty much completely shot. And it was all because of the alcohol. And I'd been telling myself probably 6-12 months prior to that, oh, I'm going to stop, or I need to cut down, I need to give up, I need to do this. But it never happens, does it? You just think, oh, I'll have a couple down on a Saturday night, and then all of a sudden you're out till 3 o'clock in the morning at a casino off your nut. And
which reminds me of the time that we
right?
were at a casino till 3 in the morning off our nuts.
I was still doing that, but do you know what was worse, Sean? I was doing that by myself. So I'd go out with my pals till 11, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Then I'd just go to the casino because I just wanted to carry on. Anyway, so I got to December last year. This is really horrible, and I still hate talking about this now. I worked out, this is how analytical I am. I worked out 30 days in December. 20 of those days I was hungover because I went out 10 times because of obviously all the Christmas festivities. And it took me 2 days to recover each time. And then I'd be back out. And then I realized there's 31 days in December. So pretty much the whole of December was dedicated to alcohol and hangovers. And I also worked out that I spent over £600 on Ubers, because obviously I was trying to get to and from places. And I think I got to the 30th of December, and that's the first day I said no, started the app, started the countdown, and then yeah, I just stopped ever since then. And yeah, here I am.
Nice. It really is funny. I think like you sent me a long list of benefits. Hang on, let me see if I can.
When did I send that to you? Because that must have been 3 months in, I reckon.
Yeah, let me see.
Maybe.
Uh,
That was a bit of a game changer. And I'm one to journal and write stuff down, and I like reminders and stuff like that. And having that list was always a kind reflection of how far it's come.
right. So this is the list that you sent me after May 20th. So
Oh, okay, a little bit longer, 5 months, yeah.
yeah. Um, and yeah, it improves sleep, deeper sleep, more energy, more clarity, better thinking, better mental health. Started exercise running consistently. And I know the last time that we met up, I don't think you were so, no, you weren't. It was a while ago we met up. I think it was in Ascot somewhere. And you were trying to run, but you couldn't run because it was hard
Yeah.
work. Um, Going on sober dates, like me and you were always the two most drunk people that always seem to be single because
Yeah.
probably the way that we acted and how we drank on our low self-esteem and anxiety.
Funny that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, Enhanced hydration. So drinking more water.
Yeah.
I still think water is the best choice for anyone for life. I mean, yeah.
For sure.
New sense of being high on life. Now, there's a reason. So the business that sits above my publishing business, Sober on a Drunk Planet, is called Addicted to Life Limited because that is exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, better quality family time. So you feel like your relationships you got closer to your family. Were they drinkers?
I mean, yeah, they still are, but that's fine. It was more so my niece and nephew who are like, well, 1 and 3 at the time. Like I used to go around there and I used to hate spending time with them because it used to be so painful being hungover in their
Oh,
presence.
I was
I
exactly the
mean,
same. To be honest, I've got a fear of children. I think it must have been being dropped at birth or something. But
yeah,
being hungover near my niece and nephews or second cousins or whatever they were,
worst thing.
I just hated it. I mean, I've got such admiration for parents that have managed to raise children hungover. It just seems like the most painful thing in the world.
Yeah.
No more anxiety. No more anxiety. I will question no more anxiety. Nada. Oh, that's good. That's
Well,
brilliant.
so far, so far, so good. I mean, yeah, I don't feel like I've got the anxiety that I used to have because of drinking. I definitely don't have. There was a period where I had social anxiety because you kind of have to redefine how you are socially, don't you, when you go sober, when
Yeah,
you really go sober. So there was that the 3 months. So by May, yeah, I think yeah, been good ever since then.
real. No more overthinking.
With the alcohol and anxiety, yeah, still get overthinking in life stuff, but yeah,
Yeah,
not
I think I think it's healthy to overthink certain things.
yeah.
But I completely agree with you. I had a washing machine head, so when I was deep in drugs and alcohol or that anxiety, I'd be worried about what I said or what I did, and just a million things. Like your head just goes down this rabbit hole
Yeah.
that is negative. Well, it was negative for me. Um, yeah, so that's huge again. We're not even a quarter of the way down the list.
No.
Saving money. Now, I don't think money buys happiness, but money is an essential part of the economic world that we live in. So having more of it, um, yeah.
Yeah. I can actually give you the exact total from my app. And it's £4,100 to date.
You know, it says £4,100, but it's I always think it's more because of
Oh
all the
God, yeah,
associated costs. So
yeah.
say like we were drinking back in the day. I think one of the last nights out we had was when we were in that casino till stupid o'clock.
Yeah,
Um,
I
it would have
remember.
been it would have been the drugs. It would have been the casino losing. We never won money. It was always losing money at a casino. And then the takeaways, and then the Ubers and everything else. So alcohol is just one small part of actually the costs associated to it are much bigger.
Yeah.
Um, Deeper conversations. Well, I must admit, you were always out of everyone that I knew. I always got better with you because even though we would drink and drug, there was always a good conversation. But obviously, from this, you're saying that without alcohol being the central focus, you can focus on the conversation more than the laddishness of the night, should we say?
Let me tell you something, Sean. Those deeper conversations we used to have when we were drunk or off our nut on a sesh, boozing, they
Yeah,
were deep conversations at the time because we were pissed, we were battered. That was the only reason they were deep conversations. When I actually reflect on what the conversations were, they were complete bullshit. Like it was just us talking absolute shit. So now, when I put deeper conversations down on my list, I know for a fact that this year I've had so many more deeper, meaningful actual conversations where there's a lot of emotional intelligence surrounding it rather than just blase piss chat. I feel like we're deemed into a false sense of like, oh, I had a real deep conversation because I was like, a bit pissed the other day, and we had a real deep conversation. They weren't really deep conversations, were they? Let's be honest. All right, they're not real, raw, authentic, which was, yeah, that's why I put that down there.
yeah, cool. I think with deeper conversations as well, I'd say the power of being present, and again, it's something that we've both done through coaching to some extent. But when you're actively listening, like just listening to the words that someone says, then you're actually able
Yeah.
to respond. It's not like an ego response or just yeah, whatever. That's yeah, nice. Weight loss. Yeah, look. But before we get on to clearer skin, I mean the weight loss. You look younger than you did 20 years ago.
I mean, everyone uses that. I've got baby face by nature. I know that, but I feel like it's just the like the shit weight, isn't it? The burgers, the KFCs, the alcohol. Like I feel like without even doing much exercise in the first 3 months of me going sober, I was monitoring my weight and I could feel it, and I've taken progress pictures, so I know for a fact it's made a massive difference. Then the exercising, implementing that, and just the balance. It's actually been crazy, like effortless a little bit to a certain degree. But then obviously you've got to put the work in. But yeah, been a bit of
Yeah,
a game changer.
nice. And then the bloated feeling. I think you can overlook the bloated feeling, but I felt bloated. Like I consciously felt bloated for most of my 20s, and it's only until you give up all that sugar and all the carbohydrates from drinking and eating all the shit that goes with it, where you could actually say, yeah, my skin doesn't feel bloated, my stomach doesn't feel bloated.
Yeah.
It is an actual feeling and it is empowering.
You know what? That you come to think about it, I don't really think I've had the bloated feeling since I stopped drinking, like I used to.
No, I've only ever had it because food I've binged on a few times with takeaways, for example, um, like a heavy pizza or Chinese. Then I get it. I think it's the sugar and the carbohydrates and
Yeah.
salt, well, content. But no, you're right. Well, as soon as you stop drinking, that sort of never reappears really.
No.
Clear skin, just spoke about. I mean, yeah, you look the best you've ever looked, mate.
I think it's my camera, to be fair. No, I'll take that. I'll
I,
take
I,
that.
I will message you after to see what camera you use because
Yeah.
I need the HD quality.
Okay.
Um, so many more business ideas. So creative thinking.
The idea list keeps growing. Obviously, there's all good and well, having these ideas, but you've got to implement them, which I have started implementing a few. So yeah, it's just yeah, you're right. It's just it opens up your mind, doesn't it? It just clears
Yeah,
the fog on another level. Like on another level, I have not even experienced, even when I was coaching and into like the entrepreneurial business side of it. Yeah, been a bit of a game changer.
yeah. And I think look, at the end of the day, I wouldn't have done this book series if I didn't have that creative entrepreneurial. Let's just get it done. Don't
Yeah.
give a shit about overthinking or not feeling like you're going to be good enough. But, definitely seeing the stuff that you do with your property business, like it's so impressive the videography stuff that you've done with it, and half of that, I mean, yeah, it's just great. Like I really love it. If you could work as a videographer for me full time, that'd be brilliant. But I know you've got a
Yeah.
million lists of things that you want to do.
No, unfortunately not, mate.
No, I do think so. Um, much higher work rate
Just got more time, haven't you? It's
gets shit done.
unbelievable how much time you get back, isn't it? like
Yeah,
nuts how many hours and days you get back. I never realized that's probably, if you asked me what's the biggest impact that's happened in your life or the biggest change, is time. Having that all this time back is unbelievable.
yeah. So just for an example, like I can work whenever I want. So for me, with the book publishing, I'm writing books. I'm making sure Amazon Ads is working, which is a lot of data entry people wouldn't understand. Um, and running the community, doing the podcasts and all the marketing that goes around those as well. But I still play golf every day. I still go to the gym every day. I've still got time for the missus. I've still got time for the family, and I can work Monday to Sunday whenever I want, and I do. And that
Yeah,
is the most liberating thing that sobriety has given me. Even when I was doing the personal training stuff and the counselling, I could pick when I wanted to work. And it's like going from a corporate environment because you've worked in corporate before, haven't you?
yeah.
Yeah. So that whole thing of you will work Monday to Friday, 9 till 6, we'll pay you a minimum salary, and you'll do what we say. I mean, fuck that.
It's yeah. I mean, obviously it's a conversation topic, but yeah, it's nuts when you think about it. But the thing is, there's still so many people trapped in what I call the matrix, which don't realise that there is another side to it. And
Yeah,
also, the journey that we're on, it is hard. Like it's not like smooth sailing by any means, but there is so many more benefits to it, in my opinion.
yeah, and I'll be honest. I think no, like my missus. My missus works better when she's told. Um, in employment terms, I'm not saying me. I'm saying I'm controlling freak here. But when she's told what she needs to do, she works a lot more efficiently. So I do get it, and you probably get it as well. All that fear at the beginning of, oh dear, how am I going to make a living? I miss my salary, getting paid once a month, and
Yeah,
all the employment law stuff where you are pretty secure in the UK with having a job. But no, you're right. I think it's eye-opening once you do start running your own business, um, how drastically different life can be.
yeah, agreed.
Um, yeah, right, not even halfway through yet.
Yeah,
No more stomach issues,
yeah.
like shitting yourself.
Yeah, like honestly,
Darts.
my bowel system, because I used to eat. I remember there were some days. This is awful to say out loud. I don't think I've told anyone this either, but I'm
It's
not.
therapy.
I know so many people do it. I used to when I used to go out on a Friday or Saturday night, get pissed up. The next day, the hangover. I used to have like 3 Deliveroos
Wow.
because I just couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't. I was literally incapacitated because I completely poisoned myself with alcohol. So the amount of shit I used to eat was horrendous, and that wouldn't be for one day. Remember, the hangovers last 2 days, sometimes three. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I think I probably had a Deliveroo breakfast, like a full breakfast delivered,
yeah,
quite a few mornings. Then I would eat crap again in the evenings, delivered. Yeah, so two, probably four Deliveroos a weekend minimum.
yeah,
Um,
nuts, isn't it?
yeah, and I mean, like the weight loss is pretty obvious once you factor in all that high fat, high calorie food. And I think I put in the first book, it was like 10,000 extra calories a week.
Wow, nuts.
So that's what 520,000 calories a year. That's
Just
insane.
on like eating shit food. It's like it's yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Um, right now, have more. Oh, just on stomach issues as well. It reminded me that I had IBS. I thought I had IBS, but what I had was a terrible diet that was alcohol, cigarettes, and cocaine. I
Yeah,
mean, you put any of that into a stomach that creates acid, it's going to be like a volcano. So, funnily enough, when I gave up those three things, the IBS, the acid reflux as well, which is vile. If you've ever eaten too many chocolates and gone to
mm,
bed and end up throwing up in the middle of the night, then you probably understand. And with all the booze, the acid reflux was all the time.
yeah.
That's no way to live, and I'm glad that I don't have that anymore. Um, we wonder why we were single. um, my family connection is stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we touched on that earlier. Better relationships again. Making better choices. I think that's interesting.
There's so, I mean, you're just clear. I mean, you're just clear-headed, aren't you? Okay, let me give you an example. When I was looking to, I've just bought a house recently, and I was looking to refurb it. There would be choices that I probably would have made that were skewed if I was still drinking and foggy when it comes to the work that needs to be put into the house, the functions, the electrics, the plumbing, all the basic stuff. But because I was so much clearer headed, that every day I had a system, I had a plan, I did my research, I knew exactly what I was buying, I knew exactly how much I was paying for it. I wasn't overspending, I wasn't underspending. I knew, do you know what I mean? Like all of these decisions that I had were so important, but I know for a fact if I was still drinking, I would not have been having these decisions. I probably wouldn't even visited the house every day and saw the progress of what was going on. So it's just yeah, and then even better decisions in like my actual business as well, like dealing with clients and stuff like that. Like I've increased my revenue, like I think almost times it by two,
Yeah.
and I've not really done much apart from make better decisions in the business.
Well, it then feeds into the other factor, which is the compound effect of being sober. So
Yeah,
it's not just waking up hangover free every morning. It's waking up hangover free every morning, compounded onto the extra clarity you get and the clearer visions, the more creativity and everything. And when you do that day after day, even 7 years sober, there's still things that I think are improving for me as I sort of relearn and rewire, and you get more efficient with age. And I think not being hungover helps with that.
yeah. Like, I don't mind waking up on a Sunday and going for a run at 6 o'clock in the morning. Actually, I quite enjoy it now, as opposed to like, God, that would have been I would have got in like 2 hours ago, you know, like
Yeah,
4 o'clock in the morning. So it like those decisions, and I would make that decision the night before to make sure that I know I've already got my mindset in check to be like, I'm getting up at this time, I'm going for a run and go. Yeah, it's a compound effect, massively.
yeah, real. And then improve self-esteem.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that would just come with everything, wouldn't it? Like, you just feel better. If you feel better in yourself and you're looking after yourself, you're gonna everything else is gonna improve, including your
Yeah,
confidence as
I
well.
mean, it's funny, isn't it? I think it's alcohol. The big alcohol lie was you needed that to sort of fit in and feel comfortable and feel more confident in yourself, but it's a false confidence, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
creating anxiety, which is then only cured and loosely cured. Alcohol isn't a cure for anxiety, but it's a compound effect of having more anxiety each time.
massively, massively. Here's a question for you. Someone posed to me the other day: if alcohol wasn't a thing and it was created in today's era, do you think it'd be legal?
I think a lot of people post similar things, and I think it wouldn't. You look at the stats, you look at the cost to the NHS. I love watching police interceptors. Everything is after 9 o'clock, sort of alcohol related. Alcohol leads into drugs, especially for me. So I think a lot of crime wouldn't exist without alcohol and drugs.
Yeah,
Therefore, the cost to society of alcohol is too big, where that's why they tax it so heavily, because they're trying to balance the books. And it's like even simple things like I was randomly thinking the other day that if I wanted to become prime minister, one of the first things I would do is not allow MPs to drink alcohol in the House of Commons. I don't know why my mind was going there, but I just thought, you know
yeah,
what? I look at MPs, a lot of them have got wine gullets and beer bellies, and I'm like, you want to make a country really good, you need to be sober. You need to be clear minded to make clear decisions on how we're going to run the country. Um, you can tell that I need to do more work because I've just got too much spare time at the moment.
is that a thing? Wine gullets? I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, so again, it's things that I look at from a physical perspective of alcoholism. Um, and it's, yeah, I think it's where the muscle lining weakens. and you can Google it afterwards. I think it's a wine gullet or alcohol gullet, but the muscle loosens, and then you just see a lot of loose skin. And predominantly, people with that will also have a bit of a stomach, a drinking stomach as well, which is from all the sugars and the gases and stuff. I think I'm not 100% sure on that,
Interesting.
but I think there are definite signs and red faces as well. Just things that I noticed from all the stuff that I've learned over the years. I'm not there saying, "Oh, poor person," and comparing them. It's just
Yeah,
um,
fascinating.
self-esteem, improved confidence. Yeah, goes hand in hand with it. Much more active, more time getting up, and it's another compound effect. The more active you are, the more you're up and about, the more your body moves, your blood circulates, blah blah blah. You feel better, endorphins. Everyone should exercise. Everyone should move every day. Yeah, because I think what a lot of people don't get is that the people that see the biggest benefits are the ones that use that time and energy to do fitness to improve their ability to create more energy.
Yeah.
And it's a very positive place to go to a gym. I always stand by when I was doing the personal training, all the personal trainers I ever met are positive, can-do people. And that's because they've got exercise as a stable for their lifestyle. Yes, you can still get idiots that exercise all the time and their egos are overinflated. But yeah, I think exercise is, yeah. Improve finances, we've done, improve physical health, feel physically renewed. So I guess that's an obvious thing that links into what we just spoke about, but actually feeling healthy compared to how you used to feel.
When like you're still drinking, and if people are listening to this and they are still in that phase of like thinking about quitting and not quitting, I always used to think, oh, like, even if I was doing exercise whilst drinking and stuff like that, it'd be great, but you don't realize, like, as you keep saying, the compound effect and the change it has when I have started completely getting rid of alcohol in my system and then actually making the effort to exercise. Like that renewed lease of life, I've never ever felt before. Obviously, I've been drinking since I was 16 years old, probably younger, I don't know. So I don't know, I've never had that in my adult life. So all of a sudden, in my adult life, I've had this renewed lease of life. It's a miracle. It honestly, like, it does change everything for you. And I never thought that was a thing. When I was drinking, I was like, yeah, nah, it's bullshit. Nah, no, you can't do that. Can't do that. Just have a couple of beers, you'll be fine. And but never works out like that, does it? So yeah,
Yeah, it's funny. I think when you take yourself out of the pub lifestyle, it's a lifestyle. You go to the pub, you meet the same people, you drink, you get drunk, you go back to someone's house, might do gear, might smoke loads, have a little sleep, do the same again, possibly on a Saturday. Feel like death all day Sunday, have your 4 Deliveroos, go back to work on Monday, repeat.
yeah.
Whereas when you're not consciously destroying yourself on Friday and Saturday, you've got all that time. And Sunday, I mean, Sundays, you get a whole fucking day.
What a great day of the week,
I mean,
eh?
like it's a freebie, isn't it?
What it literally feels like a freebie. Like I've got another 52 Sundays or 54 Sundays, or like, I don't know. I'm interested to see what my new Sundays are going to be, in a year's time from now. It's very, very
Yeah.
good.
And that's something I try to explain to people is that I don't have bad days. I mean, I have bad days, but I don't find a Monday I've got anxiety the night before because I'm quite lucky. I've consciously put time and energy from being sober into things that I love, and those things give me energy. So I'm in a bit of an energy cycle where I'm just constantly recharging myself with all the things I do and the people that I spend time with. So Monday to Sunday are roughly all the same for me. Most of the time, I can't remember what day it is. I don't even know what day it is today. And that is the beauty of being sober and sort of consciously choosing your own path, I guess.
Yeah, agreed massively.
Improved memory.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, I used to be so forgetful. Unbelievable. Like, it got to a point where I didn't even remember didn't even remember conversations I was having, and I wasn't even drunk, but I wouldn't remember conversations, and it got worse and worse and worse. But since then, like a cat.
back. Improved outlook. So I'm guessing this is a sort of a negative to positive sort of mindset shift.
I call it reframing. like reframing the way you think about stuff, reframing your language is a massive one. Like sometimes you can be negative, make negative comments just because it's like a habit, but like reframing and being very consciously aware that I'm being negative or I've made a negative comment about that or I'm not happy about that something. I just reframe how I think about it and then reframe the output, and it's yeah, game changer.
I think that's really important because um, getting sober isn't just about hangovers, time, and money. It's about things like self-awareness. So I think a big thing for me, which I can relate to what you just said, is I went through a process of doing loads of therapy, then retrained as a therapist, personal training, and all that. And all those things taught me was I spoke to myself very negatively for a very long time, and that's why I drank and drugged because I didn't think I was good enough, and alcohol was a false elixir that gave me a false confidence. And I just turned into a bit of a twat by the end of the night. It was 6 o'clock in the morning, snorting my 40th line of coke, talking the same bollocks that I probably spoke to you about for God knows how many hours before.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a can-do attitude, I think, is the big difference now. And like for me personally, gratitude is a big thing that shifted my mindset from always wanting more. I was very
Yeah.
much part of the rat race and the matrix of get a promotion, get more money, get a bigger, faster car, bigger house. But when you unplug yourself from that, you realize what the priorities really are. Um, yeah, better eyes, the window to your
So,
soul.
do you know what it is, right? And I'm gonna speak for every Asian person in the world right now. When you're Asian, you do generally tend to have like bigger bags or circles under your eyes. And throughout the whole of my adult life, like they used to be so bad. And I look at them now, like you can't even see. Like I used to constantly have bags under my eyes, like constantly, because
Yeah,
the alcohol was always in my system, or I was always just exhausted or dehydrated. But recently, especially over the last 3 months of this like sober journey, yeah, honestly, I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, you look perky today, don't you, Sanjay? Well done.
and that's a good thing. Like I think we talk about ego. Ego's dangerous if it overinflates, but it's also nice to look in the mirror and actually, yeah, like, I'm looking good. I feel good. That's again a positive thing to reframe. I remember looking in the mirror after another New Year's Eve of just being on it for 5 days and then not going to work again. I was just like, you're a fucking cunt.
Yeah,
I
literally
mean, that's
awful.
that's the language I was using to myself.
Awful, isn't it? It's so bad. And I had exactly the same. Like, I used to wake up in the morning, first with so much guilt. The guilt, that's horrible. And then I just look at my eyes, I'm just like, oh my God, like, just, yeah, it made me feel like sick.
Yeah. All right, that's good. Oh, we're almost at the end of the list. Increased happiness.
Yeah. I mean, that's a conduit of all the things you've said already, isn't it? Let's be
Yeah.
honest. It bundles
Yeah.
into one.
And I think it's important to, from my point of view, you might relate, but it's made me change my idea of happiness. Happiness is not consistent. Happiness goes like a roller coaster. Some days are really good. Some days my mindset shifted to allow them to sort of look at the opportunities rather than the problems. But there are just some days where I just don't feel brilliant, and I give myself the time and space just to do nothing.
Yeah. I never used to do that.
No,
No, now I've
no,
got the time. I've got more than enough time to do it. So
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's a
that's the
game
thing.
changer.
Like, I can just sit there, watch Sky Sports all day, which I'm quite happy to do, and not feel guilty because I know that I do so much all the time now. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's just nice to have that space when you do feel a bit depressed or just don't feel as happy as every other day. Just to say, look, I'll wake up tomorrow and it's a new day. Job
Yeah.
done.
Agreed.
Less cravings for poison. So I'm guessing you've noticed, well, because it's an extra few months on, you've noticed that actually, as you're building a life away from alcohol, the cravings are less. Let's reframe that a bit. How have you found the summer months? Because I know from mutual friends they do certain things, and I guess that could be triggering, seeing their stories and stuff.
Look, massively. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It is hard. Like I know I'm only 6 months in, but it's still hard when you see the sun, you drive past a beer garden, your pals are all out doing what they were doing every year, every summer. There's still a moment, and it took me probably 2 months before actually, like, since coming into the summer months, to actually stepping into a pub and actually just having an alcohol-free drink or an appetizer. And actually, as soon as I did that a couple of times, it was fine, and I realised I don't need to overthink it. And Joe was more important, I think, when I was doing it, is surrounding yourself with the right people that don't judge you for not drinking alcohol. Because I was one of those people who I judged people that weren't drinking. So if I surrounded myself, right, if I surrounded myself with me when I
Oh,
was drinking, I'd have no chance. Like, so
so
it was
imagine me and you met 8 years ago, for example, and I
yeah,
said, "Look, I'm not drinking. Fuck off."
yeah. Literally, it was that. It was that,
And
wasn't it?
it would have been the same the other way around.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, surround yourself with the right people as well. And do you know what? I go sometimes to the pub by myself now. Just have it while on my little walks, just perch up, have myself an alcohol-free beer or whatever if it's sunny. Lovely. Happy. I'll
Yep.
go home. Go home. So much more content. It's weird. It's great. I'm still adapting to it, but yeah, the cravings are definitely still there for sure in
And
some months.
that list took 40 minutes to go through. I mean,
Yeah.
if anyone's watching this and they're not convinced that getting sober might be life changing for them, then hopefully that they're already sold. But I think the last one on the list, actually, because I can massively relate, is lower blood pressure. Now, high blood pressure, for people that don't know, is associated with a lot of various diseases. Those various diseases can kill you. So you don't want high blood pressure. Anything over 140 over 90. Um, Go and see your doctor, get a blood pressure check. But giving up alcohol with all the sugar and the carbohydrates, all the bad food that goes with it, and the ability to then have more time and energy to do exercise, things that are brilliant for bringing it down. And also that creates less stress, which will also help lower your blood pressure. And presumably, you know that because you tested it.
Yeah. Back through, yeah, what was it, June? Yeah, a couple of months ago. Yeah, bit of a game change as well. But it's almost like I didn't really know what was happening, or it was that, what it was, but I just did it, and yeah,
Yeah,
much better.
I first noticed my blood pressure in 2016. So I hadn't admitted I had a problem, but I went to the opticians and they could see my eyes were bleeding at the back or hemorrhaging. I can't remember what the term was. So they said, you need to go to A&E now. I'm there, like I only came in for a pair of glasses. Um,
Well,
and then now you're telling me that my eyes are bleeding. So I went to the doctors, they did all the tests, and my reading was like 200 over 140. They said, you're close to having a heart attack or a stroke, because they're the two main ones. So luckily, that was well, it wasn't a wake up call because I still did drinking drugs for another 2 years after that. But it's all part of the journey. I was put in a ward with a heroin addict, cocaine addict, and they're all on their last legs. So it's funny looking back at things, and blood pressure is a big one.
yeah,
I think I get yearly health screenings now because now I'm a health conscious. I want to live. I want to be addicted to life for as long as possible. So even my eating's now healthy. I don't really eat meat anymore. I think my parents are on the verge of completely disowning me after I don't drink, barely eat meat. They're like, wow, who is this guy?
but now look at you.
Exactly. Author. Eh?
Yeah, yeah. It could have easily gone the other way, right? And
Yeah,
it
and that's
would
the
have
thing.
been
Like, I
actually
think
worse.
the big part of these podcasts are I got sober because I went to an AA meeting or a Cocaine Anonymous meeting, and people shared in those meetings, and I could relate word to what they said, which then got me thinking, shit, I'm not the only person who's in this situation. Which is why I think now it's important for us to spend the last 10 minutes talking about the past drinking, and how there's been certain places that I've bumped into, like Malia.
I still
So,
remember the story as well. We'll get on to of this after the Malia story, the wedding where you drove back.
okay, right, we're making this about me now.
That's my fondest memory. No, it's not. But that was one memory
Well,
which will
yeah, you
always
know
stick in.
what? It's mental, isn't it? Like I drove back from a 2.5 hour away wedding. I think it was Johnny's wedding in Basingstoke, wasn't it? I don't
Wow.
remember driving home for the majority of it. I remember sobering up as I got to a mate's house and we did loads of coke. And that was New Year's Eve. No, maybe not New Year's Eve. But yeah, I mean, I could have killed a whole group of people. I could be in prison for life. They're the sort of things that happen when you take those stupid decisions from alcohol and drugs. Like I think at that point in my life, I was trying to kill myself, like at a really deep level, and that was just I didn't care what I did to myself, and in that naivety, I didn't really care if anything happened to anyone else. Now, obviously, I'm sat here very grateful that we can have this conversation now, and I'm not dead and I'm not in prison. But there's so many other stories that we could talk about, but this podcast is about you.
Okay. What do you want to
But they're like the whole uni lot. Every time you come up and saw us in Nottingham and stuff, I'd always be the most drunk person there, and that was because I was always socially anxious. Like I'm an introvert, um, and I know that now through getting sober because it's hard work for me to be in groups of people. And alcohol, just I drank it too quickly, and then the tipping point was too quick. I don't remember going to most of the pubs we went to in Nottingham. Um, Apart from when we did they did like their Easter festivals.
Oh
Have you
my
come up for?
God. I can't remember that.
No, to be honest, I can't really remember university. It
No,
it
it's
was
all a
good fun
blur,
at the
wasn't it?
time, but I was drunk for most of it. But you're heavily into your music. You've done loads of DJing over the years. And then one day I randomly bumped into you in a club in Marriott.
Do you know what's fascinating about this is that and this is going to relate to so many people because I've said this before. When you're growing up, especially if you live with a family who encourage drinking alcohol, like my dad encouraged me to have a drink like Bacardi Breezer when I was like 14, 15 or whatever it was. So pretty much by 16, we were going out every weekend. And Malia being like the boozy, sunny hotspot when I was 18, 19, which was the first year I went, like it was just the solid fit, and it was so normalized to just go out boozing every single night and drinking copious amounts of not just beer but like hard liquor. Like the amount of abuse that we used to go through when it comes to alcohol, it was crazy. And I always had a goal in mind that it was to DJ out there, and I did have lots of fun doing it. I would not take that back. I don't regret doing it, but it did eventually just become about like just getting pissed every day. And then yeah, and then obviously there was lots of times where you bumped in, you came out, and yeah, it was a funny old time.
It's hard work. Like I shared a video, like it was a British comedy sketch of a like a twenties rep onboarding all the youngsters that had just come off the plane onto the coach, and how it's like, right, we're all here, we're all going to get fucked up,
Yeah,
and that was very much the mentality of going to all the Greek holidays that I went to Ibiza, Malia, Kos, Zante, and just drinking fish bowls of whatever the fuck it
yeah.
was they put in there. I mean,
Do
it
you know
probably
what? That's what I was about to say. There was a fish bowl in this bar called Help Bar in Malia, and it was called Headfucker. And it was basically 90% alcohol and 10% grapefruit juice. And it was
I wouldn't have been able
oh
to have that.
mate, it was like six of us would go around and be like, right, let's go get a Headfucker, and we'd literally leave there like wonky. Bearing in mind I was young then, and yeah, oh mate, it is crazy. You're right. Like touching on that whole 18 to 30 scene, like it's crazy how it's all geared to just basically just getting absolutely off your nut on alcohol. And like this was going back, obviously we're not going to say our age now, but a good 20 years ago. Imagine what it's like now with drugs, which is so much more readily available. Back then it wasn't as readily available. It was, I mean, I remember smoking loads of weed out there off the Albanians and stupid shit like that. But yeah, crazy.
It's funny. Like I remember Ibiza. I had good fun in Ibiza. Like San Antonio when I was younger, I had some problems because I got too drunk and got involved with the dodgy guys out there who tried stealing all my stuff. But
Yeah.
I think they're stories that people can probably relate to. But when I went to the other part of Ibiza, the more grown up area, like it was so easy to get drugs, but I wasn't drinking alcohol. Now, I know that I've got an addictive personality, and it all led to me going to rehab for alcohol and drug addiction because they were both killing me. Um, but I managed to go to Ibiza, do drugs, not drink. Um, but then I did too many drugs, and it was so easy to get drugs out there. Like it's safe and it's like you said normalized. Like
Yeah.
if you want to go and I guess to some extent it's like Vegas. If you want to go and sort of enhance all your addictions, there are places that you can do it, and these people will quite happily take your money and not give a fuck about
Yeah.
it. And to me, that's what those places are like. Um, but I don't miss going on holiday, drinking heavily for the first 3 nights. I always stayed in bed for 3 nights as well because I physically couldn't. I physically couldn't move. And then we'd eat at McDonald's every night. We'd go to the Irish bar in the morning to have breakfast. And then there'd just be loads of
Routine, isn't it?
random women sleeping with mates and stuff. And that's how every holiday went for like 7 years of my life. And looking back, I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad that I don't do that anymore.
Can I tell a story of when I went to Dubai? This was only in 2021, actually.
Okay.
So I obviously I'd been grafting hard on this business since 2020, and I needed a holiday. So my pal was already out in Dubai, and obviously if you know Dubai, there is a massive like drinking, partying scene, brunches and all that stuff. Lovely, lovely place though. But and I went out there for 5 days. I booked a really, really nice hotel, which cost me a lot of money for 5 nights,
Yeah.
thinking, yeah, this is going to be great. And what I ended up doing, I went out in 2 nights with my mate, 2 nights in a row. Bearing in mind, my hangovers were horrendous anyway. The second night we went out, we stayed out till 3 o'clock in the morning, both nights. And then the third day, I spent the whole day in my hotel room.
Paid a lot of money for
Got yeah, got room service.
it.
The fourth day, I started to feel a little bit better, but I didn't leave my room till about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I
Yeah.
almost spent 2 days on holiday in Dubai because of my anxiety, which I paid for. I
Yeah.
paid for this. I've invested in myself to be taught to basically torture myself in this room. And then I went out for the meal and that night, had a few drinks, and then I pretty much went home on the fifth day. I just went to the airport early because I just had enough. Like, what kind of a holiday is that when you're drinking and basically like ruining yourself on purpose? Like, what? I'm paying thousands of pounds to basically damage myself and give myself more anxiety. It made no sense to me. That was another, but it still took me 2 years to actually make the decision to go sober. It's
Yeah.
crazy, but people are going to be listening to this. They're probably going to be thinking, Jesus Christ, that was me, or I was similar to that. Go on a holiday, and like you always tell me, go on a holiday where you actually have a holiday and come back refreshed, not dead to the ground, right? Terrible.
That's the thing. Like holidays are for you to go away and relax and to recharge, so you can come back and then tackle life head on with all its ups and downs. Because life can be shitty sometimes, life can be great, but you have to be physically, emotionally, spiritually ready for when that happens. Now, if you're
Yeah,
hungover and walking around like a zombie because you got fucked every night at Zante at Cherry Bay or whatever the fuck it was called,
Cherry
um,
Bay.
you're not going to be on your A game. You're more chance of getting sacked because you're shit at your job. You're likely to be single because you got chlamydia by that point. And yeah, I mean, in comparison, I go away. Me and the missus will play golf. We go to nice hotels now because we've got the money. And we just enjoy going to spas, like having a massage, chilling out in the pool, reading books, going for a nice meal, having the finest sparkling water there is. I mean, these things might sound simple and boring to people, but I genuinely enjoy it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not one part of my body that doesn't enjoy relaxing now.
It's just weird how when you reframe that, like you could go to the two same places, one on a boozing holiday and one as an actual relaxing holiday. Maybe you're at a 5-star all-inclusive resort or something, and the two experiences of the holidays would be so different. It's mad. I haven't been on holiday yet, so I'm excited to see what it's like going on actual holiday and doing activities and exploring and doing fun
Yeah.
stuff. Go and get a massage and actually coming back like, do you know what? I feel great instead of taking another week off to feel
It's
shit.
funny. I actually went to Dubai for my 1 year sober. I played golf. Golf in Dubai is amazing. I chilled out by the pool. I had soft drinks. I mean, like that was it. Had a massage. Um, and ate really good food because they've got loads of nice restaurants. So Dubai is a good place because ultimately they don't drink as because of the
Yeah.
religious reasons. And just avoid the UK brunch places. Like I could
Yeah.
probably I can't remember the names, but I'm guessing you probably went to those brunches when you're out there because
Yeah.
they're notorious for Brits and expats all getting blind drunk and acting like they do because they want to keep them there like animals, really.
We found an Irish pub. Don't worry about that, Sean.
Well,
Oh,
the
mate, yeah.
amount of Irish pubs I've got drunk in over the world, it's just such a stereotypical thing to do. Um, yeah, why go abroad if you're just going to go to an Irish pub? Just go to Ireland. It's
Yeah,
cheaper.
and do you know what? It's not all sunshine and rainbows, and I do see actually on the Sober on the Drunk Planet Facebook group all the time. I'm a keen beaver, reading everyone's posts on there. I may not react and comment to everything, but I do read quite a lot of stuff. And a lot of the times, this has been a trend in that group, which I relate to. Is I thought I could have one, maybe two drinks, thought I'd be fine because I haven't drank for a year or 2 years or 3 years, but then all of a sudden got absolutely written off and smashed, and I'm regretting it, and I'm back to day one again. And that thought has come up in my head so many times over the last 204 days. Oh, maybe I could just have a couple because actually I'm fine now. I haven't drank in a while. I should be fine. And I literally go into the group and someone's posted it there. I regret doing it. And do you know what? And I now just catch myself as to what's the actual benefit of going and doing it. Am I gonna enjoy it and remember the day after what could happen? You know,
Yeah, and
it's a really
I
interesting
think
thing.
that's an important part of why the Facebook group is so important because it keeps me sober. So I'm reading and I'm helping and I'm getting help from the group. It works all
Yeah,
ways. And like you, I don't respond to every post, but I will read some. And there are other people that be in the group. You don't have to respond. You don't have to post. Just reading can be enough to change your mindset to say, actually, no, I know the reasons why I gave up drinking. I know that it's not going to do me any good. Um, and yeah, I've never met, even from my counselling days, I've never met one person that has gone out drinking and stayed out drinking because they could then manage it. It's just
yeah.
so addictive. It just doesn't happen like that. That is not the reality, and I don't want to sugarcoat it. I think people, once they make that decision and they start building a life in sobriety that they don't want to escape from, I think alcohol's escapism to some extent. Like my life is so, I'm so happy and content with my life. It still has ups and downs, but I'm able to deal with those a lot better. I don't ever want to risk um, being hungover.
That's it. The fear of being hungover and having that anxiety and the guilt and all the stuff that comes with it, that's enough for me as a driver to not drink.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see the benefits now of like socially, the social situations of actually going and doing the stuff I actually want to do and going to gigs and stuff, which I actually really, really like
And
doing.
driving to these things.
Yeah.
Like just
Oh,
driving sober and knowing that you can leave whenever you want and have
yeah.
that comfort of not giving 50 quid to an Uber driver who you might then
Yeah.
pay double because you're so drunk you don't remember that you paid him.
Yeah. Well,
True story.
Sean, because you're obviously on my social media, but I'm a massive fan of horse racing. And like Royal Ascot, which is the biggest horse racing event in the world that lasts a week, that used to be from Tuesday to Saturday. That used to be every single day, boozing hard, beer, eating picnic food, not having a proper diet. And my anxiety of thinking about this event this year, which is in June, which is already passed, that the anxiety of going to this event and not drinking was horrific because everyone is old school, don't get it, don't understand the sobriety, just want to get pissed. Now, all of a sudden, I went on Tuesday, the first day, I didn't drink. I had a few alcohol-free Peronis, which actually tasted quite nice. And it was the sun was shining. And as soon as I woke up, or as soon as I left, first of all, I got in my car and drove home, which was lovely. As you said, I wasn't paying a 50, but and I was walking past all these people on their phones, wonky, trying to get an Uber. And I was thinking, Jesus Christ, that was me. Now all of a sudden I've got home at 7:30, 8 o'clock, had dinner, got in the bath, felt lovely, got into bed by 10 o'clock. And do you know what the best thing was? I woke up the next morning feeling so fresh. I went straight down to Ascot for round two. I didn't drink for the whole week, and I felt so good because everyone else was like, "Oh, I feel so rough," and I went out to the pub after racing, and I just, Joe, I had the best Ascot event I've had in all of my adult life, and I've been going every single year since I was 18. So that just shows me that was a big testament to going to events and stuff sober. It's probably the best thing in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And I think all the list of benefits that you said, the improved self-esteem and confidence, you don't need alcohol. And then you get all the benefits of no hangovers and no late nights and no hanging around for the Uber driver when you really want to be home. All the
Yeah,
benefits, you're now in control of everything. I think alcohol takes control of the direction of your evenings out.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I think we'll wrap this up because we could talk forever. I'm sure there's a million other stories that we could probably remember, but I think I've tried to put them all to the back of my brain. So
Yeah.
don't bring any more up, please.
Okay. All right.
Um, but it's honestly, it's been so brilliant to have you part of the community. You were the first person that interviewed me to start this podcast, so this podcast has a lot of gratitude for you as well. And yeah, we'll meet up soon. I know that we've said it for a while, but we'll now that we've got all this time and energy.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Mate, do you know what? That's probably one of the reasons, like just to finish on this, one of the reasons probably why I avoided you for so long.
What's that?
Because you were sober and I wasn't.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
um,
Possibly.
yeah. I mean, the good thing is conversations. Like, I don't like telling people that they need to stop drinking. That's why the books are
No.
written. Like, if you need to have a conversation with yourself, and these are the questions you need to ask. Asking yourself more powerful questions gives you more powerful answers. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing from the coaching days that, and you're just asking yourself better questions now. I mean,
Sure.
that's brilliant. And it's great, like seeing how well you're doing and all the benefits and stuff. Like you literally look younger than you've ever done. I mean,
Yeah.
we've turned back time. Maybe we need to come up with an Avon sort of oil of Ulay, sober on a drunk planet skin cream,
Yeah.
which is
That'd be good.
basically just water and a no alcohol diet.
Literally. Yeah. Cheapest diet ever. There you go.
Uh, right. Thanks very much. If I don't normally do this, but if you do enjoy the videos, then please subscribe. That's what people do on YouTube, isn't it?
Subscribe, follow.
Yeah, yeah, that way. Yeah, nice one. And yeah, we'll have more of these podcasts in the future. Cheers, Sanjay.
Nice one. Cheers.